Hello, I'm Virginia Delegate Bob Brink from the 48th District in Arlington and McLean. This is my second weekly video update from the 2013 General Assembly session. This week the legislative process went into high gear with committee meetings that started as early as 7 a.m. and ran as late as 6 or 7 at night. In this report I'd like to talk about how the committee system fits into that process. Rather than just repeat familiar information about how a bill becomes a law, we'll focus on the committees that I serve on and what they did during this past week. To provide some context for this conversation, we'll head upstairs from my office here on the 7th floor of the General Assembly building up to the 9th floor and the House Appropriations Committee room. Here's a little background about our committee system and the way it operates. In their most basic form, the committees are essentially screening mechanisms for the General Assembly. They help us go through the proposed bills and eliminate legislation that is superfluous, unfounded, not ready for prime time, or simply a bad idea before it gets to the House floor. Given the sheer volume of legislation before us in the few weeks we're in session, this winnowing process is vital. During the 2012 session, 2,876 bills were introduced. That would be 2,876 separate pieces of legislation on a wide range of topics that the 140 members of the House and Senate have to read, understand, and make an informed decision on, all within a 45 to 60-day period. If we did this as a committee of the whole, essentially all 100 members of the House debating these bills on the House floor at once, we wouldn't get anything accomplished. This is where the committees come in. The House's 14 standing committees are made up of about 22 members each and are divided in separate areas of expertise. They only look at bills that fall within their jurisdiction. For example, if I introduce a bill dealing with mental health issues, it would most likely be assigned to the Health, Welfare, and Institutions Committee, which deals with matters related to health care. If the bill had budget implications, after consideration by Health, Welfare, and Institutions, it probably would be re-referred to the Appropriations Committee. The membership of every committee is decided by the Speaker of the House, employing a calculus that includes several different factors to help him make his decision. The party ratios reflect the Republican and Democratic balance in the House as a whole. So, with the House split with 68 Republicans and 32 Democrats, the committees have a ratio of 15 Republicans and 7 Democrats. In addition to choosing the membership of the committees, the Speaker also decides which bills will be heard by which committee. The committees themselves operate initially through 4 or 5 subcommittees. The subcommittees usually hold public hearings on the bills before them before deciding how to dispose of them. These hearings are informal affairs. There's no printed record, and anybody who has an interest in the legislation, lobbyist, agency representative, or concerned citizen, can stand up and speak on it. If the bill survives the subcommittee gauntlet, the full committee decides whether or not to move the bill onto the full House floor or to kill it in a number of different ways. By voting it down, by deferring immediate action and tabling it, or by letting it die through a process with the acronym PBI, Pass By Indefinitely. 2 of the 3 committees on which I sit, Appropriations and Privileges and Elections, meet in this room. Much of the legislative action this week took place on Privileges and Elections, which has jurisdiction over election and campaign laws. In the wake of last November's presidential election, which saw long lines of voters having to wait as much as 4 hours to cast their ballots, the committee heard a series of bills designed to make it easier to vote ahead of Election Day. Unfortunately, all but one of those bills went down to defeat its subcommittee. I was a member of that subcommittee, and I was on the losing side. The one bill that survived was a modest measure that would have allowed those over 65 to vote absentee, and even that bill was voted down today in the full committee. Given the record of this past week, it's hard to escape the conclusion that the committee's majority is uninterested in making it easier for eligible voters to participate in the election process. But that's the committee system in operation. I hope that this short discussion of the committee process sheds a little light on how we operate in Richmond. If you have any questions about this or any other aspect of the work of the legislature, please feel free to contact my office at delegatebrink@gmail.com. I hope you'll visit my website, bobbrink.org, like me on Facebook, or follow me on Twitter @delbrink. I appreciate you taking the time to watch my video updates, and I look forward to keeping you updated throughout the remainder of the 2013 session. This is Delegate Bob Brink, and thank you for watching.